All right, we are officially live. Hello, world.
How's
Hello, Alex.
it
Oh,
going?
wait. Oh, it says an error occurred. Wait a moment, then try again. Hold on.
Wow.
See, let's try this again. Okay, did it work this time?
Just wait a
I think
moment.
okay. It says we're live. Why don't we go ahead and just take a look at like YouTube and see if we're actually live? Let's
Sounds
see
great.
here.
The suspense is killing me.
I know. So I can tell you, it's literally killing me as well. Let's see here. Cool. I think we actually are in fact live. Good start to this stream. StreamYard having a little issue and us not being able to tell if
Yeah.
we're live. So
No,
anyways,
I've done my fair share of like live streams with just like playing guitar, and that's like even worse to sound check because then you're like hearing yourself playing.
right,
Yeah.
literally, man. Well, hi everyone. So for those of you who haven't joined us before, this is the InPress Insights live stream. This is basically a bi-weekly stream that Alex and I do where we go over all sorts of stuff regarding InPress and industry trends, answer a bunch of community questions, raffle off some premium, and just genuinely kind of have a nice chill time and engage with the community a bit in the lead up to our launch. So yes, if you don't know, I'm Adam. I'm the CEO and co-founder of InPress. And Alex, you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. I'm Alex, the CTO and co-founder of InPress.
So, like I said, we're going to tease a little bit of trivia here. We didn't do a great job of this last week, so we're going to try to be more, just be more forthright about stuff. We'll be doing a trivia at the end of the stream, and the answer is going to be somewhere in the stream, right? We're not going to say exactly what it is. We're not going to give you any hints, but if you keep an eye out or an ear out, excuse me, I guess it's an ear out. We will say the answer somewhere. And then Alex will read the question off at the end. And if you know it and you say it in the chat or on any one of the platforms that you're streaming on right now, you will be the winner of a free month of premium when we launch in your local area. So keep an ear out.
Right. I mean, could be an eye out. Like maybe it's like a hidden signal that we do in the background or something.
I wish we were that complex. I wish people had that much faith in us that we prep that much for this thing. God. So yeah, why don't you go ahead and update us on what's been going on for the last 2 weeks?
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. Well, so we're into April. The last time we talked was about 2 weeks ago, kind of towards the end of March, and yeah, it feels like a big month coming into the second quarter of the year. Our Indiegogo has been rolling along, picking up some steam. Don't remember exactly what we're at, but last time I checked, we were above the 3.5K, and the team's been dog fooding, which has been a lot of fun. People aren't familiar with this term. We've been using InPress. I've actually been using it every morning, and it's really exciting. Actually, this morning I found out that NASA is hosting an eclipse party at the Air and Space Museum, and I was like, that's a pretty cool thing to find on the app that I'm building, and like could totally be like a first date. So yeah, it's exciting. And yeah, I think like our development engine is warming up. We're kind of like getting our hands dirty a little bit. I've been like very privileged in the fact that like you guys have already done a ton of work. Like when I'm like demoing this app to people, and it's like, wow, that looks like it's almost done, and it's like, yeah, and I haven't even really done anything. But
You
now I
take all
feel
the
like
credit.
I'm like actually, yeah. Now I feel like okay, like now I can actually like start contributing a little bit, like actually writing some code. Like it starts to feel like it's more of like something that I'm actually like working on as opposed to just like taking credit for.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely. Let's see here.
yeah,
What else we got on this list, my friend?
yeah. So yeah, just a kind of like a bunch of random things. I think like kind of the next thing we're actually aiming to do is finally get the app on the App Store. So that's kind of the push, just like today and tomorrow. It'll be in a kind of an invite only form, so it's not going to be something. Obviously, we're not actually like launching tomorrow. But yeah, we're going to get it on the store just to kind of like test out that process a little bit, and then like start bringing in people for some MVT beta testing. So that'd be cool as well.
Oof. I'm not nervous. You're nervous.
Yeah, I don't know why I'm nervous. I'm like,
I don't know. It's like one of the things where like we've done the work and it's just been such a long time coming, you know. So to actually put it on the App Store, it's a bit surreal, I guess. And I think I don't know if anybody who's going to be watching the stream or is watching the stream has had this experience with like Apple Dev or a test flight or anything, but sometimes things aren't always the clearest. And it just makes me nervous because in the past I've like accidentally just flubbed things because they're a bit convoluted instructions, and I'm like, oh man, I hope that we don't like muck this up, but it'd probably be more me than you.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, yeah, I feel like the worst that could happen is like we get like a talking to from like the Apple testers, but I'm still nervous about that. So,
Yeah,
um,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
but
Well,
it's
that's cool,
cool.
man.
Yeah,
I mean,
you're right. It does feel real. Like definitely starts to feel real. Yeah.
yeah, I can't wait for that to be the case though, because we'll obviously put a blast out about it being available, and everyone can at that point. Correct me if I'm wrong, Alex, but everyone can actually download the app at that time. They'll just have to wait to get an access code, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So that's going to be awesome because we'll obviously be putting out a lot of information about that, letting everyone know. We'll update our landing page with the link, and it'll no longer will it be an idea that people can't download and put on their phones. They can actually put on their phones. It's really cool.
Yeah. Yeah, we've been living the privileged life because like only the team members can actually use the app, and it's like the app actually works. It's just like it's just not on the app store yet.
Right,
Yeah.
right, exactly. Yeah. And then yeah, you're also looking for developers.
Yeah, so we've been kind of exploring that a little bit. Yeah, it's a kind of thing where you know, um, it's a kind of thing where like we could always use the help, but at the same time we want to be picky, right? Like we want the right people on the team. We want people who believe in it, and who are excited about it. So yeah, iOS is kind of the biggest thing that we have right now. We're making like the whole app is just native iOS. So that's kind of the biggest thing that we're looking for right now. But yeah, if people are interested in helping, definitely drop us a note. I think hello@impress.app is probably the easiest way to reach out to us. Yeah, definitely looking.
Yeah. I'm actually just gonna share a link to that right here in the chat. Hello@impress.app. Uh, if you're interested. Also, just generally, if anyone watching ever needs to get a hold of us, has questions, concerns, random weird ideas, reach us that way. Yeah. And then also you're grooming the newsfeed experience, yeah?
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, kind of like I was mentioning.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah, that's
we
yeah.
yeah we kind of we it was a little bit of the Wild West experience for the past couple of weeks. Just like really random articles, like there's like a highway in India that's having a lot of traffic this week, and I was like, okay, like I don't know if that's really like, gonna help me find a dating partner or anything, but anyways, so yeah, it's a bit more local now, kind of like I mentioned, like I saw the like NASA Eclipse party happening in DC, which was super cool, and there was some other there was an
Sounds
article
cool.
about like a board game restaurant kind of thing, which is like another perfect like dating or like kind of game night with friends or something like that. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's feeling a lot better.
An eventual goal, and I'll emphasize goal because we don't have a timeline for this right now. It's definitely not the highest priority of us getting the app to market, but on this note, it's an interesting sort of future feature that you've lent yourself or you sort of experienced with this, right? Because we've always talked about the idea of being able to, since we can tell what users' mutual interests are, what their strongest mutual interests are, with enough local partners or sponsors, we could essentially start to offer date ideas in chat or something to the matches because, like, oh, you both really like live music, go to 930 Club in DC. Here's like 20% off, right? If we could start to actually get partners with these local, so you have two people in a localized area who like the same thing and are trying to meet, it would just cut down customer acquisition costs of our partners and give the users a very cool experience because they almost don't have to think about it. It's like, oh, that's actually, I would love to go to 930 Club and it's a cheaper ticket. Like, let's check that out. 930 Club, if you're listening, I'm not promoting this, not necessarily an offer that you're giving, though. If you are into it, reach out to us at hello@impress.com.
Nice. Yeah, I think it's a cool angle. It's not just like matching people based on their interests, but also like helping to sort of like, oil the gears a little bit and like break the ice of that first date. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, cool, man. Well, that's a very good update for the last 2 weeks. I've got some stuff as well, I guess. So last night, this was kind of random. I went to a journalism and design event. It was a mixer. Usually these mixers, they're kind of a mixed bag. Some of them are fun. Some of them are kind of not as fun. This one was very fun. And it was very cool because it was actually hosted by New School in Manhattan. And it was a room full of either really, really experienced, like established journalists, like the editor of Bloomberg, or randomly the editor of Hemispheres magazine, like the magazine that you get on United flights. Like all these different characters were there. and then a bunch of like students and alumni. And I was just showing up as a professional because I just, I want to talk about InPress, and it's just such a there's a few things more gratifying than talking to journalists about this, because it lights up their imaginations. They have so many ideas and they get very optimistic and hopeful about it. Or they just have a million questions with like a look, right? So, and either one is fun, but the only thing that's more gratifying than that is talking to actual users who are like, oh my God, this would be so great for my dating life or making friends. That's even better. But this event last night was unique because they actually offered to have me speak. And so every other speaker was talking about like, hey, I'm an editor at this place. I'm a photographer here. And then walk up and it's like, hey, I'm CEO of a news-based dating app that's going to market this summer in August. Check us out. Gave him the whole shtick. And
drop the mic, walk off.
Kind of, yeah. I mean, it was fun. It's fun because a lot of people came up and gave me their resumes. I was like, oh God, that's not exactly just join the wait list for now. But it was very like fun and humbling in a way. And it was just really cool to see how very established journalists were thinking about this. And the most of the feedback was either very, very good questions or this is such an interesting version of the future I haven't envisioned. Like almost like I can see how AI is affecting journalism, but I haven't really heard this angle before. Like that's interesting. And I think we're going to have my goal is to get on the ground with more journalists like this and get InPress out there to get very good varying opinions, but also to just raise awareness, because also like, I mean, I think my hope is that journalists love this and frankly want to cover it and, free press. So, so that was really great. And then Alex and I, like you might have mentioned, we were in DC. We were working together last Saturday. And this is probably not as exciting stuff for the whole community, but like we're just putting it out there to show the progress, right? We were working on our go-to-market plan. It is a beast. It is taking a lot of work. We're actually getting the whole team involved. We're doing a kind of system where everybody puts their sticky notes in and talks about the things that are most important for us to have a successful launch and go-to-market campaign. And now we're kind of ranking them in priority, and I'm putting them into a timeline so that everybody knows exactly what their contributions need to be for us to have the best launch possible. So that's what we're working on. And then also Alex and I went ahead and recorded our YC and Techstars videos, which are actually a smashing hit. If we don't get it, I'm going to be very disappointed because I think those videos are great. Maybe I'm biased. Yeah, it was good.
I feel like we can't even like really tell the listeners about it because it's like you just gotta see it. Like,
oh, 100%. Well, and nobody's gonna see it unless we get in, because otherwise it's just gonna be embarrassing. But at least if we were to get in, be embarrassing plus we got in, so it's fine.
Yeah.
And then we actually just Alex has a note here about sort of like we had a lot of interesting discussion around dating versus friends features. Alex, you want to kind of elaborate on what those discussions were?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's it's really interesting because we were like, when I first joined, it was like it's a dating app, and then it was like, well, a lot of people are already in relationships, including my girlfriend, who is like not obviously not willing to invest in it unless there was like a friend option. And then it was like, okay, let's have a friend option. And then it was like, well, what about people who are like dating and want to make friends? Oh yeah, that makes sense too. And like, what about people who are like in a relationship and want to like meet other couples to as friends? So like, there's a lot of like interesting little like overlapping use cases that we've just kind of like that have come up in discussion lately.
Yeah, it's this unique, I wouldn't call it a problem. I guess I'd call it an opportunity, but it's this unique opportunity where we're building genuinely this net new way to connect people. And we don't even always fully understand all the different ways it could be applied yet. Like talking to new people in new situations they'll have ideas that we're like, oh my God, that's like almost so obvious. Why didn't we think of that? And that's not to say that every idea is going to be something that we'll choose. And it's not to say that every idea is something that we're going to launch with, but you hear a lot of these ideas and it's like, I could see us growing into that. Right. Like to build on that, Alex, I had a discussion with my friends, Tom and Emily last week. Shout out to Tom and Emily. Hello. And they're a couple in Virginia. And they were just saying like where they live in Virginia, it's hard to meet couples who share the same interests as them. Right. And that they too, like in your example, they don't want to make a dating profile. There's not really any need for that. But they do just want to find couples who like the same stuff, right? And that maybe they could make friends profiles that they could link to almost be like a partner swiping feature of the app, where you could, for friends, just like find other couples who are like the same things, like to go to a DC United game in DC or like to go see Broadway in New York, right? And it's not one of those situations, the way that The way that they described it is it's not quote unquote one of those scenarios where the girl meets a girl on Bumble BFF and then they drag the two guy partners around and they're like, "What's up, man?" Like, it's actually the guys being like, "Oh, that's actually this guy's cool too." Like everyone just kind of gets along. That is a really interesting idea, right?
Mhm.
Um, as well as
Yeah.
maybe the option of sort of being able to like mark that you are in a relationship, which is something that other dating apps do. That way, you know, it lends the using of the friends version app a little bit more comfort in your relationship if that's not something your partner's comfortable with, you know. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think this is like a really unique angle of like Impress because like a lot of these apps are like the app to designed to be deleted or something, right? Like once you find somebody, like why are you using the app anymore? But like Impress, it's the kind of thing where like you could meet someone on it and then still keep using the app, right? Like you could use it either just to like share articles with the person that you're in a relationship with that you met with, or yeah, switch over to friends and start making friends, or like meet other couples. So like it seems like it has like a lot of potential just as kind of like a thing that just like stays around in your life. It's not just like something that you throw away after you met somebody or something, which I'm like really excited
Right.
about. Yeah.
That's true. And that's something that investors talk about a lot, right? Is like I think they're reasonably so is this sort of stigma around the dating app culture, dating apps and tech, especially around investment, which is so okay, so let's just say your algorithm works as great as you say it does. They're just going to hemorrhage users because they find a partner and then they have no more need for your app. Where we're kind of lucky in a way because that might be true for like 30% of what our app is. Not even, maybe like 20% of what our app is, right? Because we also do, yes, we do have like the news feed, and yes, we're hopeful that the version of the news feed that we create will be an interesting enough play on news presentation and consumption to be its own app. But that's not even the right now. The right now is that we do have the friends version of the app, which has infinite staying power, right? Because that market is wide open. And if we can corner that with the very genuine subconscious types of matching that we're creating, just because you make a friend on Impress doesn't mean you're deleting Impress if you're just looking for friends, right? It's not as binary as finding a lifelong partner. It's like you might want more friends. And in fact, we have this ambition of growing into groups, right? So like being able to see what people have the strongest interest statistically in a localized area of something that you're interested in. Like you can opt into groups essentially, like, oh, I want to opt into a group for people who really like soccer, right? In a 1 mile radius of me, I could find, it's not like a Facebook group, people just say they like soccer. Like these people we can prove are genuinely really, really into it. And it just starts this like hyper interested subgroup that you could then engage with as well. And that's where it gets really, that's where we've had a challenge as a company so far, just kind of, we're not there yet. So like, this is not a labeling or positioning problem yet. But at that point, we're going from dating to dating and friends to dating and friends social media question mark, but it's not really a social media because it doesn't function like with a timeline that you post about. You're not
Mhm.
talking about yourself. It's like purely communities based on statistics of self-representation, um, which to my knowledge doesn't really exist right now. So that's why it's hard to label it because the buckets are dating or social, and we're more dating, less social, but we're somewhere in the middle, or at least that's what we're trying to become. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, I think it has a lot of potential. I also just like that, like, there's something to do on the app other than, like, swipe on people. Like, I just feel like apps are just kind of, like, awkward. Like I said, I've been on, like, every single dating app that's out there, and, it's just weird because like, as soon as you open the app, it's like, "Here's somebody's face. What do you think about this person?" And it's like, "Whoa," like,
Yeah.
you know? So, it's nice that, like, on Impress, there's a little bit more to it, right? You can, like you're kind of browsing the news a little bit and then, like, yeah, tab on over
Yeah.
and check out some people.
I've heard this interesting piece of feedback. I wonder if any of the people who are popping into live stream have thought this or yeah, I get this interesting question, which is around like I think people hear news-based dating and friends app and they think politics a lot, right? That's just not the
Mhm.
case. Like, but I want to emphasize the politics has nothing really to do with our model. It's not emphasized or de-emphasized more than anything else, and you can't filter for it. So it's just like somewhere deep into the data. But the idea that I was actually talking to a girl last night at this event who said when she used to use binary dating apps, she would go onto the dating app and like see their profile, but then do a lot of deep digging, like look into their Instagram and figure out the past, and find out they were like
Mm.
they voted a certain way, and that would move her away from actually swiping right at them, and that she was almost like so self-limiting because there was so little information on the dating apps that the research she did almost always rendered a result she didn't like, and that which was really interesting. And when I described InPress to her, she was like, I actually kind of like this because the things that we'll be matching on will be those interests and passions and hobbies. And if we had all those things in common, I might be willing to overlook or ignore some of those other things because of how fun the hangout is. Like, how fun the time is together and that we like enjoy doing the same stuff. Like the idea that you don't have to agree with your partner on every single thing to have a great time or enjoy their company. And I think this lends itself to that. We're in the social media age. We're so used to just being able to see right up front where everyone stands on everything. And this is just literally not about that, which I think is also another interesting thing we'll have to kind of get people used to. Like, it's news-based dating app doesn't mean it's toxic filtration. It's just like hyper representation, basically. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess another quick. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Were you gonna say something?
No, go for it.
Another update from the last 2 weeks is that we, I say built out our YouTube channel. Like, it's still very brand new. It only has a couple of subscribers, and we'll continue to grow it. In fact, we're streaming on it right this very moment. But if you haven't, go ahead and please follow it. Let me actually look up, make sure exactly what I named it. It's literally just InPress. Yeah. So yeah, we're obviously building out our social presence. We've finally got somebody leading our marketing. Bless her. We were very thankful for her, so I don't have to keep doing it all myself. But go ahead and obviously subscribe on YouTube. And one thing I would say is that we would love to be streaming these on LinkedIn. And in fact, we'd probably have a bunch more viewers if we did, because that's where actually somehow we have so much more traction on LinkedIn. Like LinkedIn is our best social media, which seems weird for a news-based data app, but here we are. But we can't actually stream on LinkedIn until we hit 150 subs, and we're like 127 right now. So we just get a little bit further. Hopefully, maybe by the time we get to the next stream, we'll have hit 150, but we'll see.
Nice. Yes. We'll make it big.
Yeah, I know. Just share with all your friends and family. Share it with your grandma. I know your grandma uses LinkedIn. Your grandma, loves news-based dating. So we've got 30 days left as far as updates and announcements are concerned. We've got 30 days left on our Indiegogo campaign. So please, if you haven't had a chance to be a backer on Indiegogo, go ahead and do that. If you literally just go into Google and type in first news-based dating app or just InPress Indiegogo, it will come up. And every little bit helps. Alex and I have been very candid about the fact that, we've actually talked to a lot of trustworthy mentors and investors who genuinely love this idea, but very fairly tell us it's just a bit early to expect any real investment because you're an unproven network, right? Which is fine. Like, I guess if I was a VC, I'd probably say the same thing. So that means that until we launch in August, we probably can't expect very big checks to be cut. So that puts an emphasis on this Indiegogo campaign, which means this money is even extra important because it's going to go a very big way into getting us through our go-to-market campaign and launching. So if you haven't already, please be a backer for us on Indiegogo, or if you have, share the link and tell all your friends.
Get some sweet merch.
Our merch is pretty sweet. People love the quality of the bag. I get comments on that a lot. Like, oh, it's really nice. Like, you can tell when there's a crappy tote bag, and our tote bag is not a crappy tote bag.
Yeah. Speaking of launching, so we are launching August 25th. So just throwing that out there, put it on your calendar. That is the timed with the fall semester, the start of the fall semester at Georgetown University, who we've been working with a lot. And so yeah, hoping a lot of people are coming back to town and ready to meet, ready to make some friends, and maybe do a little dating. So that is the date.
Yeah, that's right. So just to reiterate that, August 25th. August 25th is the day we're going to be launching InPress. We're holding ourselves to it. God help us. Let's do it. We're going to be good to go. Like, I think at that point, it's just time. And there's a strategy around why we're picking that exact date, which we don't even need to really go into here. But I feel good about it. I think it's going to be really exciting and raising the awareness in DC and beyond that. We're having conversations now about where we spread next after DC, what metrics do we have to hit before we spread, and how fast do we do it? A lot of competitors in the space, like Hinge and Tinder and Bubble, they were in multiple cities in a couple weeks. And if we don't want to, this is the delicate dance of being exclusive enough to build hype, but not being so exclusionary that you're now just hamstringing your own network growth. So I think we'll just have to be very intentional with the timing. And it seems like a lot of our competitors have, made that same calculation, which is why they spread so quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and this will be exciting. I mean, yeah, we're kind of moving towards putting this in front of, real people and people who aren't, necessarily going to be friendly to us, right? Like just random strangers as opposed to like our friends and family and stuff. So, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, speaking of friends and family, actually, that's a great segue, Alex. Thank you.
Yeah.
Is we're going to be launching we're going to be soft launching InPress in July. Now, for anyone who doesn't know what a soft launch is basically us releasing the app to a finite amount of people to get their first hands on it. And they'll be given a code or a link. We actually have to decide the exact tech behind it. We have a couple options. They're probably given code that they can give to their friends, and they can invite the people that they know, but only the people with first access will be given this, and they can share it with as many people as they want. And those will be the exclusive first InPress users for at least a couple weeks, probably upwards of a month, if not more, until we hard launch. And I'm just very excited for these people because these are people who have been with us from the beginning, right? This is like the Georgetown community. So anyone in the Georgetown community, if you have a Georgetown EDU, like you are a student, an alumni, a faculty member, whatever, you will be getting first access. If you are a beta tester, you'll be getting first access. By the way, that's another reason to be a beta tester. You'll get first access with the soft launch if you're in the DC area. Indiegogo backers, family and friends, right? And maybe more. We'll see. There's a lot of people who have helped us out along the way who definitely deserve to be among the first ones to use it. And we have to make sure that we have enough people in the soft launch to actually make it a rewarding experience for them as well, right? So we're going to figure out what those numbers are. But if you do want to be one of the first people to get your hands on InPress, I can't say join the Georgetown community because I don't think that's something that's just easy to do. can't just enroll in classes, but you could be a beta tester. You could be an Indiegogo backer. And I would consider that if you're listening right now, you're probably a friend or family. So you could also just be you. So let us know. Yeah.
There you go. Plus, we'll be on there. So
Plus, we'll be on there. Yes, we will be. I mean, I need to. We might need to program it so I could still be there, even though I might be in Brooklyn for a lot of the time. So we'll see. But
do a little geo hack.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
We should say we're in relationships. So I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Don't get excited, viewers. But we still be there boosting the algorithm and hopefully swiping for friends. Yeah. Tell us about how people can set up to be a beta tester, Alex, if you'd be so kind.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you send us an email at hello@impress.app, that's just the easiest way to get in touch with us. We're going to put something up on our website to make it a little bit more official. But yeah, right now, hello@impress.app. Say hello and let us know. We're super excited to, especially get in touch with the people. A lot of people we show this idea to are like really excited about it. But yeah, I think it says a lot when people are like actually ready to like put some time in and be like, yeah, I want to actually like use this. So yeah, we always like love meeting those people. And please send us an email, hello@impress.app.
Oh, actually, wait, I have a little banner for this.
Ooh.
Boom. There we go. Hello at InPress. Wow. I really could have timed that up a little better. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Work in progress.
My dear cousin and friend Vivian responded and said that she actually is that grandma that we're referring to who loves news-based dating. So shout out to you, Grandma Vivian. To be fair, she's like, 23 going on 70. So this actually checks out.
Okay.
So thank you for the info on how to be a beta tester. And I think now we can we'll wait on to the trivia question until the end. You think? Maybe? You only got 12 minutes left if you can believe it. Or 12 to 15 minutes left. So yeah, this is the time where I'll also say if anybody has any questions that they want to ask, please feel free to ask them. You type them in the chat. I've got all the different places that we're streaming right now pulled up. Have at it. In the meantime, we actually have some other questions that the community has asked us or our questions that we get asked literally all the time. And I'll be honest, we haven't prepped for these. This is not like PR prep where we've ran through these questions. This is pretty off the cuff. So put ourselves in the hot seat. So let's see what they are. Oh, I thought I put them there. Okay, here we go. So let's see. A question that we often get, or a question that we've received, is how are you deciding which news is and is not biased? And that is a wonderful question that I like literally get excited to get asked this one all the time because I think it's a very obtuse concept. and there's not a lot of trust in media as a whole, and there's not a lot of trust in the purveyors of media to trust the people who say things are and are not trustworthy. It's kind of a vicious cycle. But luckily, the onus is not on us. We'll be working with, we basically run the numbers on multiple different nonprofits, such as Adfontes Media and allsides.com. And they look at so many different outlets, like the most nuanced of outlets, and they will determine how much their lean is. Like, do they report with any lean in aggregate, or how strong is their source quality as well? So it's kind of like an XY axis there. And you generally will only be pulling outlets that are within that top, I'm going this way, top medium range. So these are outlets that have very strong source quality and not a lot of lean. And we actually have very specific parameters that fall into those, because we don't, well, you're right, we don't want to be seen as subjective, and our goal is to not. So that's why we rely on math. Everything about InPress is around algorithms and math. And these are, because this is work that's already been done, and we're basically just using it as a filtration process. So you can trust that when you see news on InPress, that it's reported by historically very accurate outlets. Now, the disclaimer to that is that, we are not the arbiters we're not the editors of these outlets. So maybe they have one-offs sometimes, like that does happen. Like sometimes very reputable outlets sometimes have redactions. That's part of journalism. But as a whole, the stats show that they are very much a factual outlet. I like to say outlets where the journalists can lose their job for factual inaccuracy. if it's an outlet where the journalist isn't getting fired or deeply in trouble for reporting something incorrectly, or they're allowed to just brazenly do it, they're not coming on InPress. That's just full stop. So that's how we determine what is not biased. The answer is that we don't determine it. We work with people who do determine it based on math.
Nice.
The next question. So I have an answer for this, but I'd like to be curious for what you would say to this one, Alex. Is are you worried about creating more echo chambers, or how are you thinking about that?
Yeah. Yeah.
I really
like
didn't
I know
prep
how
you for this
you.
one.
Yeah, and I feel like I know how you would answer this.
Answer yourself. Answer how you would answer it.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think like this is something that we're still figuring out. I think also is we're still exploring like how we want the news feed to be populated, like what we want in it. And I think that's going to like answer that question to some degree. Because like one thing that we explore is like having more local news than you would expect in like a typical news aggregator or something like that. And I think that helps just automatically. It helps kind of break some of this out, because it tends to be a little bit less polarizing, I think, and sometimes a little bit more, a little bit more just kind of like factual, just like this is a thing that's actually happening. Like you would kind of hope that the news was actually
Right.
kind of like that. Yeah, I think that's what I would say. Yeah, what would you say, Adam?
I would say that we have a couple of different ways. The sun is blinding me. I apologize. We have a couple different ways of building this into the system, right? The first one is that we give the user the ability to actually adjust their match filtration system in their settings. So we kind of put how much they want to have in common or not have in common on the user. Like that is something that, unlike pretty much every social media I can ever think of, is actually in the control of the user in this case. And that's because we are not a social media app. We are a dating app, right? We're connections app. So it's not just like you're going to take what we give you. We want these to be very deep connections that are under your control. And if you're like me, you don't want to date somebody who's like me because I'm annoying and crazy. I don't want to date me, right? One of me is enough. So I would probably make my match similarity range like, 1 to 15 or something in settings, percent that is. And maybe other people disagree. They want somebody who's just like them. And so basically that right there is a built-in hardwire way of either like completely doing away with any type of echo chamber, or like having people who might agree with you on more things. That's one way. The other way is that, to your point, like you kind of said, like all of the news is factual information. And an example that I've talked about in our team meetings is that if you see a news article about water being wet, it's just saying water is wet. It's not saying water is too wet because of someone, or there's not enough water because of someone else. It's just water is wet. How do you feel? How interesting is it to you, the fact that water is wet? Now, that's a really weird example because maybe that's not super interesting to people, but you get the point that if it's just built on factual information, it's hard to build echo chambers around that, as opposed to if you had an article that said water's too wet, there's not enough water, right? The feelings of that are scary and charged. but that's just a different skewed version of reality. So because we always stick to, and if you were rating on those fringes, then yeah, there would be echo chambers. It would be weird. It would be toxic, and it wouldn't feel like a good dating app. That's why we just keep it straight and narrow, which is another protection against that. So, like Alex said, we're going to continue to just basically work on this and make sure that our information is top notch and that users do have control over this. But again, I guess the last thing I would say, sorry, I'm going on a little bit of a rambling tirade here, Alex, is that, we've been planning to build the algorithm in a way that doesn't allow folks to be matching on toxic information. So you're matching on interests and hobbies, you're not matching on things like, MAGA, right? That's not, you can't have a dating app where that's a matching criteria. That would be so toxic and unhealthy. So I guess insofar as very echo chambery topics could match you if they're like politically charged or dangerous, we're building our app and our product to not be a place where that can thrive. So
yeah. I mean, honestly, it's not really something that I like think about a lot. I don't think it's going to be a big problem for us. Because I also just don't think it's like super interesting from a dating perspective to be like, oh, like what does this person feel about some political figure or something like that?
right,
Like it's just not, that's not, a great data point. Yeah. And I think like, it like you said, it's about like interests and hobbies, but it can be meaningful still, right? It can get at people's values, but I think it gets at it in a deeper way, right? Like if you see an article
yeah,
that's like, I don't know, like new like housing development is going up and it's going to, change the culture in this neighborhood or something. People have different feelings about that in terms of like, oh, okay, I care about like housing prices, I want there to be more affordable housing or something, right? And that gets at people's values. But it does it in a different way than just like what's happening at the national or global level, right? It happens,
right.
it's getting at it, what's happening in your neighborhood.
Yeah, and and what's happening what's happening inside yourself with this information that you might not even be aware about. Another very interesting thing that we get, that I get like people saying to me when I talk about this is that people realize that they'll say, like, "Oh my gosh, I guess I could actually learn a lot about myself," and that's true in theory because every time you match with someone on Impress, it's not going to be the same criteria that you see, right? When it shows your mutual interests, it will depend on what the other person's top interests are with you, to show what those top mutual interests are. So it's not like you can just go into what your interests are, see all the millions of data points, and just know what they'll be. So every single time you match with someone, you're going to see how you fit in this world with someone else who's their own puzzle piece, and that is going to be a very interesting, intriguing thing to learn about you. And yeah. So I guess to your point, it's deeper than picking and choosing. It's just very holistic and authentic. Yeah.
Hmm.
I'm going blind
You
here, so
look
I'm going
like,
to close this.
yeah,
Yeah. Oh my God.
you look like my LinkedIn profile
Oh my
picture.
Lord. Oh my God. That's so much
Just like
better.
squinting.
Oh, I was trying so hard to keep it together. Like
Yeah.
flush now. Oh man. Um, cool. So we actually do have we have a few people. It's gone up and down. We've had a couple people. We've no people. We've had a couple people. We've no people. So I guess while we have a couple people here, now would be a great time for us to ask a trivia question. Also, before we say the trivia question, I just want to also say if anyone here who's in the call has any questions, if you just jumped on, feel free to ask them. This is your chance to do so. So Alex, why don't you go ahead and say what the trivia question was?
Yeah. Okay. So the trivia question is, what day is Impress going live? The hard launch, the real launch. What day? And if you don't know the exact day, I guess maybe we can take like the closest, guess or something. We'll see.
I wonder if any of these would be my friends that already know the answer.
One of them is like our marketing person or something.
Right, exactly. And if we don't get an answer, we can continue with the rest of the call and ask it again at the end and see if more people are on who are more engaged then too. But all right, let's see here. So yeah, I guess okay. So let's ask one more question actually, because we do have to pop off pretty soon, Alex, for our go figure next call.
Hmm.
Um, is how did we? This is oh yeah, I got asked this like last week. How did we come up with the Impress brand? I guess I should take this one, huh?
I mean, I can take this. You can.
No, go ahead. No, please do it. It's just,
Well, years ago,
how do we cope
I
with the
think I actually
Impress
don't know
brand?
this story, so I
You
think we
actually
should
don't know
probably
this story,
talk.
really? Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So the way we came up with the Impress brand was I it's this really interesting challenge to solve, right? Because dating app branding is very playful. right? Like it's very like Bumble's bright yellow with these soft edges, and Tinder is kind of the same thing, like bright poppy colors. It just looks playful, right? But because InPress is based on journalism and news-based connections with genuinely factual information and accountable outlets on it, that branding didn't feel right. Like if it wouldn't feel right to put to create an environment people had to read news on like a Bumble branding. That's just weird. Like you wouldn't take it seriously, right? So we had to create this instance where it was not so much Bumble, but not so much New York Times. Because if it was New York Times, it was going to be too sterile and serious, and you wouldn't want to date on it, right? So it had to be somewhere in between. And shout out to our graphic designer because he nailed it. That was pretty much the synopsis I gave him was make it intelligent but intriguing and playful, but not too playful, like almost like sleek and stylish. And he actually based our brand off of fashion brands. He used, I think, like Tom Ford inspiration and like Calvin Klein and a couple other fashion brands, along with particular different styles that are kind of popular right now, to come up with InPress. And I think he did a phenomenal job. We get complimented on our brand all the time. People tell us they like the colors. People tell us they really like our font that we use for our logo. And it's all kind of come together. But the fun thing about our brand is that from the beginning, we aren't so serious, right? We can't be, because we're a connections app. We have to be like very friendly, and we are friendly, I'd argue. But it's given us the freedom to really play with just silly branding, right? Like stay up to date. It's just tongue in cheek and kind of like it's clever, sure, but it's kind of goofy, which fits our brand, right? It's clever and playful. And the news way to date, all of these are just very casual, fun environments. And I hope that, I know that we're going to keep this branding, this vibe, and this aesthetic for a long time to come, and I actually think that a lot of times you would get told in entrepreneurship, like, don't focus on your brand first. And I think in some cases that's good advice. But in our case, I'm so glad we did, because of all the things that we've, needed to do again, we did this one right the first time, and it's helped make a huge first impression, and help people take us really seriously. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. If only that's like all we needed to do. Just like
done. Yeah, you didn't know about creating a brand in Figma that you would also codes the entire app and does all the back end work for you.
Yeah.
Man. All right. Well, okay. So we'll ask one more time for anyone who's on. So the trivia question is, we're going to sign off after this, is what day are we launching the app? I'm going to go back and check. I see a few people watching. So if you're listening, what day are we launching the app? If you get this right, you get a free month of premium. And if I don't hear an answer in a couple seconds, then we're going to have to pop off and go to another meeting. Let's see. Yeah. I wish I had oh man, we do. You know what? Oh, I totally forgot I keep forgetting to do this. The brand, speaking of brand, we didn't play the music in the background of this. Can you hear that?
No.
Oh man. Oh, that's slick. that's just some nice lo-fi beats. I even queued it up before the call. I was like, okay, we're gonna have a nice lo-fi sort of vibe throughout this whole thing, but I mucked it up. All right, we're gonna have to try it again in 2 weeks.
All right.
Damn.
Oh wait, right, I do hear it. Oh, it's like very quiet. But okay,
yeah.
Nice.
Oh man, we do have an answer. We actually do have an answer. It's not exact, but it's very close. August 17th from Vivian in Canada. We're gonna have to give that to her, obviously. The only trouble is that Vivian, I'm so sorry to say, I don't know when we're gonna be launching in Canada. it could be fast, it could be not so fast. I don't know, but I know that when we do, you'll be one of our biggest supporters. She said 12th, no, 25th. You got it. But Vivian is our winner. Congratulations, Vivian. Well done. Thank you for always being a supporter.
Thank you, Vivian.
Yes, indeed. All right, well then, Vivian, I'll reach out to you directly because I know exactly how to get a hold of you. And in the meantime, thank you to everybody who watched our second InPress Insights live stream. We'll be doing these bi-weekly, so check out the next one, yeah?
Great. Thanks, everybody.
All right, bye.
Bye.